Hi everyone, my name's Matt, and recently I gave myself the challenge of putting together a budget gaming PC for under $400 that can play anything I throw at it, which currently in 2026 has become way more difficult to do thanks to our AI overlords. But after a week or two of searching and buying parts, I ended up with a $350-ish PC that may not look the best but performs incredibly well, even being able to play difficult modern titles like Borderlands 4 at 1080p with well over 60 FPS. Just to be clear, this build is using used parts and isn't meant to be a guide, it's more meant to show you the strategies I've utilized to build a cheap gaming PC in 2026, so let's get into the story of how I built this $350 gaming beast. When starting this project off, I knew I wanted to try and find a combo deal or old system that had a lot of the parts I was looking for included, as purchasing it this way can be considerably cheaper than buying each part individually, especially right now. What I was looking for was to build a system with an Intel 10th gen or newer CPU, or with an AMD AM4 CPU. I also decided to not allow myself to use local options like Facebook Marketplace because that's super location dependent, so I just used online options like eBay. But you should definitely be utilizing your local markets as you can score some amazing deals. I started out my part hunting by every day or two for about a week, hopping onto eBay for about 15 minutes and searching for stuff like CPU, motherboard, RAM combo, or I would search for a specific processor I was looking for in the desktops and all-in-ones category. And even search the CPU name plus custom, so for example, I would search i3-12100 custom or Ryzen custom and select buy it now and sort by lowest price first. Right now, when searching Ryzen Custom, you could get something like this PC with a Ryzen 7 1700X, 16 gigs of RAM, a 512 gig SSD, and an RX 580 for $270 after coupon and with free shipping. You could sell the CPU and GPU, then buy and throw in something like a Ryzen 5 3600 or 5500 and a GPU like an RX 6600, which all in would probably cost you a net total of $500 or less for a super solid system. And this is just what I could find looking right now in this instance. If you're patient and persistent, you can usually find even better deals. So one day when I searched for i5-10400 on eBay, this listing came up for a used desktop PC for $150 or best offer plus free shipping. This looked like the perfect candidate for this build as I'd be able to use the CPU, motherboard, SSD, and RAM from it. At $150 this was a solid deal already, but I got greedy and offered $125. And it's not like I snatched this up the instant it got listed. My initial offer actually expired because if an offer is not responded to within 2 days, it automatically expires. I sent the first offer Friday afternoon, and it was a business that probably didn't look at their eBay account over the weekend, so it expired, and then I sent a new $125 offer on Monday, and they accepted. Which shows you there are deals to be had if you look for them. This listing sat for at least 3 days unsold at again $150, which already was a solid deal, so me getting it at $125 was awesome. Once paid up, I waited patiently, and after about a week later, this box landed on my doorstep. Inside, I found the PC I ordered packaged fairly well with plenty of paper and bubble wrap, and before I messed with it or opened it up, I decided to do a test boot, which I was happy to see it booted right up. So what the heck did I get for my $125? Well, this is actually a custom ITX mini PC that was likely used in a business environment. Removing this one screw and pulling back the cover reveals the very claustrophobic internals with just enough room for an ITX motherboard, flex ATX power supply, and all the accompanying cables. I was going to be using everything other than the case and power supply, so I decided to pull the motherboard out to get a better look. This was actually more difficult than I thought it would be, taking me over 5 minutes to get the board out, and funnily enough, the motherboard had no screws holding it down. The cables were just so tightly integrated that I guess it kept the board from moving around significantly. There were holes for screws, but none installed. Again, I'm not going to be using this case and power supply, but I'll talk about them briefly. This is the Inwin Chop-In, which came out like 10 years ago and came with this Flex ATX power supply. This is a nice compact case that I remember being popular for AM4 APU builds when those first came out. I'm going to be keeping this case to possibly use in a future project, but if I were trying to save the most money possible, I would resell it on eBay where they sell for around $40 to $50, then use that extra money for parts in the build. So now that you know what I'm not using, let's talk about the parts that I am using. Inside, the system came with an ASRock B460M ITX/AC, which is a decent quality LGA 1200 based ITX motherboard. This has your typical 2 DIMM slots, 16x PCIe slot, and decent back panel I/O with built-in Wi-Fi. It supports 10th and 11th gen Intel CPUs and overall will work great in a build like this. We can see it's using the not so great Intel stock cooler, which I pulled off and removed the thermal paste off the IHS to give us a better look at the included CPU. This is an Intel Core i5-10400, which has 6 cores and 12 threads. It released back in 2020 and is able to turbo up to 4.3 GHz. It's based on the ancient 14nm technology, but for a budget gaming PC, it's going to work great. The upgrade path isn't amazing, but again, for the price I paid, this is an amazing CPU to come included. Again, it's being cooled by the stock cooler. This is just a small piece of aluminum with a fan attached. It's ugly, it runs hot, and it's loud, but it gets the job done. So while it would be nice to upgrade this in the future, I decided to stick with the stock cooler as it doesn't affect performance. Before reinstalling the cooler, I put down a fresh application of thermal paste, which is always a good idea to do for an old system. In terms of the SSD, this came included with a 500GB Samsung 970 EVO. 500 gigs is enough for a budget system like this in my opinion, and getting a high quality drive like this one is great. One interesting thing to note is this has a refurbished stamp on it, which I'm not sure if this was refurbished by Samsung directly or what, but it's been working great so far and looks to have plenty of health on it. And again, buying this included in a system helps keep the total budget down, as 500GB NVMe drives are selling for upwards of $100 right now on eBay. Finally, this came with a single 8GB stick of Crucial Ballistics DDR4 memory at 3200MHz CL16, and this is the first area that I'll need to upgrade and purchase stuff for. Ideally, you'd sell this stick, then buy a 16GB kit, but I was being lazy, so I bought an identical stick of RAM off of eBay for $30, with the only difference being the color of the shroud. I was hoping if I used 2 of the same sticks, I would be able to enable XMP, but you'll see how that goes later. The included stick and the eBay one will combine to give me 16 gigs of memory. Not ideal, but for a budget system will work perfectly fine. I would have loved to get 32 gigs, but current pricing means we're going to have to make 16 gigs work. And with that extra 8GB stick, I add the core platform of my build, which includes the CPU, cooler, motherboard, RAM, and SSD all together for $155, and meant I still needed to get a case, power supply, and graphics card. For the GPU, I searched every day or two for the specific cards I had in mind, and one day I found this listing for an AMD RX 6600 XT for $135 or best offer. Now this was from a brand new seller, so there was a slight risk compared to buying from a seller with feedback, but it was one I was willing to take as the listing looked good and $135 is a great price for this card. I didn't push my luck by trying to submit an offer, I just hit buy it now, paid, and a few days later had this box land on my doorstep. Opening it up, I found the seller used the box for his new card, and overall it was packaged really well. I did also immediately test it to make sure it at least booted up, and it did. The AMD RX 6600 XT is an amazing 1080p graphics card that can play basically anything you throw at it at 1080p with 60 plus FPS. Sure, only 8GB of video memory isn't ideal, but at this budget, it's usually all you're gonna get. This is the ASRock Challenger version of the card, which has a pretty standard dual fan design, and if you're interested in temps, you'll be able to see them in the benchmark section of the video. So now with the core platform and GPU, I'm at a running total of $290. To power this system, I looked for a bit but couldn't find any good deals, so I just settled for this EVGA 450BR, which I paid $33 for and came with free shipping. This is a decent quality 450 watt 80 plus bronze rated unit and looks to be in good shape. It's non-modular but has all black sleeve cables and should provide plenty of clean power to the build. Finally, I needed a case to put everything in, and this is something I'd recommend looking for locally as they're expensive to ship. Luckily, I had a PC case on hand that I bought about a month prior when I saw this r/build-a-PC sales post for a $30 case with free shipping from Newegg. This is Zalman CubixG, which at the $30 I paid is great, but I don't recommend it at the current going rate of $48. It's a very compact micro ATX fish tank style case with 3 included fans. These are static RGB fans, so they stay the color they are at all times, which isn't ideal, but again, this case was only $30 when I bought it, so the fact it holds all the parts, has 3 included fans, and looks halfway decent is a win in my book. So if we add the $33 power supply and $30 case to the running total of $290, we get a final price tag of $353, and for that price, I'm super happy with the set of parts I was able to get. The build was pretty standard, everything went in fine. The most annoying part was plugging in the 8-pin CPU cable, which may have taken me as much time as the entire rest of the build because I just couldn't get the right angle and leverage to plug it in, but eventually I did get it in, and once turned on, I was happy to see it boot right up, at which point I installed unactivated Windows 11 and as many games as would fit on the 500GB SSD. Also note, XMP was not an option available in the BIOS, and I didn't feel like manually tuning the RAM, so I left it on the 2666 MHz it defaulted to. I tried to test a good variety of games, but if there are ones you'd like to see me include in the future, let me know in the comments below. So let's get into the gaming performance of this $350-ish gaming PC. Starting things off easy in Valorant, I tested at 1080p high settings and by hopping into some death matches. Doing this resulted in a very solid 241 FPS average with 1% lows of 123. This was great performance and felt super smooth, but didn't help the fact I am god awful at competitive FPS games. Next up is Minecraft, which I tested at fancy graphics with 16 chunk render distance and simulation distance, and also installed Iris with BSL shaders. I loaded into a new survival map and just played around for a few minutes. During this time, performance felt very good. Chunks generating in did cause some lag spikes, but that's to be expected. During my testing, I saw 194 FPS average with 1% lows of 53, which I think is pretty solid for Minecraft with shaders. Moving into Fortnite, I tested in performance mode with epic view distance and textures along with 100% resolution scale. I opted into a couple of blitz matches, and doing this resulted in a very nice 238 FPS average with 1% lows of 128, which felt really good and fluid. I was actually able to get some kills because I think I get put into noob lobbies, which is fine by me. In Cyberpunk, I tested using the built-in benchmark at 1080p with the high preset, which does include upscaling. Doing this resulted in a 99 FPS average with 1% lows of 65. This is a very good performance in my opinion and will give you a more than playable experience in Cyberpunk. In Monster Hunter Wilds, using the benchmark tool at 1080p medium, which again uses upscaling, I saw this test put out a 63 FPS average with 1% lows of 37, which for this game is pretty good taking into account how unoptimized it is. In the Black Myth Wukong benchmarking tool at 1080p medium but with 100% resolution scale, I saw an impressive 90 FPS average with 1% lows of 75. Finally, I tested Borderlands 4 at 1080p using the medium preset and just by running around and fighting mobs. Doing this resulted in a very nice 69 FPS average with 1% lows of 49, which felt very good in my opinion. Temp-wise, the CPU did get a little hot, going up to the upper 70s and low 80s at times, which isn't ideal but is fine. The GPU temps were solid, staying around the mid 60s most of the time. The system was a little loud because of the stock cooler, but not obnoxiously so in my opinion. Overall, this system performs great, taking into account I paid just over $350 for all the parts, and I hope this shows you guys building a budget PC is still possible in 2026, but you do need to get a little creative. With that being said, I'm interested to hear what you guys think of this build. Do you like it, or would you have went with different parts? Let me know in the comments down below. So yeah guys, I think it's time to wrap this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. And as always, this is Matt from Tech by Matt, signing out.